So hi, my name is Caroline. I am Danish but I live in Scotland with my partner, and I started knitting in May 2020. I'm a classic lockdown knitter. So I thought I'd show you everything that I knitted in 2020. As I just said, this is not actually a full year of knitting, but I kind of hoped it would show the sort of progress of skills as I went from literally only having knit a few knit stitches 10 years ago to knitting full sweaters. I basically knit any chance I get. So I knit when I watch telly at night, I knit basically the whole weekends, and I also spend a lot of money on yarn. So you will notice that there's quite a lot of sweaters here, which is obviously quite expensive. So just to say, that's what I've been prioritising while we can't really do much else. But yeah, let's get going with sweater number one. So the first sweater is this. This is the Amanda sweater by Weal and the Gang. This was my very first sweater, and it's knit in a crazy sexy wool in some kind of confetti colour. I have to say, I haven't worn this anywhere near enough for how expensive it is. It's absolutely gorgeous, but well, it's not gorgeous. I think that's wrong to say. I feel like that's a classic sentence. The fit is all wrong, and I learned so much from knitting this, and I think the main thing I learned is I don't really like chunky wool. So this is obviously like mega chunky. This was knit on 15 centimeters for the body and 12 for any of the ribbing. And I think you can just tell the fit is wrong. I probably didn't gauge this. It's obviously way too short as well. So I'm not sure if I'll ever completely frog it, just because it's obviously special as it was my first sweater. But yeah, certainly I haven't gotten enough wear out of it. It's the same front and back, and it's quite a boxy fit, I think. With the leftover yarn, I also made this, which doesn't fit very well over my hair. So, but here you go, cute matching set. After knitting that sweater, I was completely in love with knitting, and I found Loop London, and I thought I need to buy some yarn from them. And I had completely fallen in love with PetiteKnit, and especially the Sunday sweater. I'm now going to put on my second sweater. So this was my second, well, I guess third technically if you count the hat. This was my second sweater. As I said, this is yarn from Loop London. I have a video dedicated to this sweater, so I'll link that for all the details. But this was, at the time, a very hard knit. It's knit in around top down, and that's one of my favourite constructions, but it's definitely hard to do the first time, but still very pretty, I think, with obviously the pretty yoke, the big balloon sleeves. So yeah, this was very good. In this I really learnt the construction where you knit top down, and also sort of the work on increases. If you want to become good at tubular purl increases, this is the one. So after that, my only summer top really is this Weal and the Gang one. I think it does have a front and back, but they're more or less identical. So I'm just going to put it on top of my t-shirt. This is knit in whatever their cotton is called, but it's slightly thicker cotton. I'm fairly certain this was knit on 5mm. I had to learn a few new techniques for this, and actually I would knit this again. Again, it's knit flat and then seamed up, which was horrible and not anything I did not enjoy. I did like a cable cast on, which I think gives quite a discreet cast on edge on this. And yeah, this was really great for those few months where you could meet outside, so I knit it there. So I finished this about July time. The Sunday sweater I finished in June. And yeah, it didn't get as much use as it probably should have, so I'm hoping this summer brings some more opportunities to wear it. So this is another PetiteKnit sweater, and obviously I think to some extent the first sweater I knitted was a bit of a knitting fail in that Weal and the Gang is fairly expensive, and obviously I haven't used it enough. However, this is a fail for a different reason. So this is the Louisiana Sweater by PetiteKnit, and I thought I knitted it long enough, but if I just rolled this up, can you tell that's my belly button? That's way too short, and the sleeves are too short, and I'm still not completely sure how it shrunk so much, because I did like try it on, and I have pictures where I'm standing like it goes to my cuff, but yeah, it doesn't anymore. So I'm tempted to try and re-block it now that I have a blocking mat, and see if when I dry it, I essentially pull it like really taut and stretch it, if it would have a better fit, because I really like the idea of this sweater, but it's not been worn because it's just so short. It probably, you can see it from the back here as well, it would probably work quite well if you're very much like a skirt person. A bit of a knitting fail. This was my first raglan sweater, which is probably my favourite in around construction. Just always think it looks really good and the fit is usually quite good. This is definitely an easier knit, I think, than the Sunday sweater, and definitely one I would recommend for a beginner. This yarn is also from Loop London. I will put basically a link to my Ravelry down below, and you can see the size I knit, the needles I used, the yarn, where I bought it. I usually store all of that on Ravelry just to stay on top of it. So yeah, next one. That must be my fourth sweater, is this, which is the sweater number 9 from My Favourite Things Knitwear. This has probably been my most worn sweater. I've worn it a lot here in the home office with this like mock turtleneck almost, and the non-balloon sleeves that have a good length. The yarn combo on this is really soft, so this is, out of the 4 sweaters I've shown so far, this is the 3rd one using Camaro Sniff Nook, so there can't be any doubt. That's one of my favourite yarns. I used hand-dyed mohair, and I'm just gonna see if maybe I move a wee bit closer, you can sort of see the colour play in it. I think it's gorgeous, and this is also raglan, which I really liked. I had seen someone on Ravelry that continued sort of the neckline coming down here, which I've done as well, so comes down the side, not very easy to see. But yeah, this is another good one and another good beginner pattern. So I think really the 4 sweaters I've shown here are all perfect beginner patterns. I personally much prefer knitting in a round, and I think you get a much more even knit in it and it's much easier, so I would probably go with one of those. I really like My Favourite Things Knitwear sort of descriptions through her patterns, and PetiteKnit is really good too, so yeah, they're all great patterns, and this is very soft. And another reason I really like this is that the slightly tighter sleeves makes it a lot easier to wear on the jacket, so this is essentially my go-to choice if we're going on walks. I can sometimes be a bit funny about mohair, but this is a queen fibre hand-dyed mohair, and that just doesn't seem to irritate me as much as other kinds. So the green Sunday sweater and this is those 2 type of mohairs just don't seem to irritate me, so yeah, I wonder why. Now we're at my first cardigan. So this is the Miles cardigan by Weal & Gang, and this is my final Weal & Gang project. This is knit in I think it's called Take Care mohair, in blue chalk from memory. Just talking about the mohair, this is a type I can basically not stand having against my bare skin, so right now it's not too bad, but I can certainly feel the beginning of an itch, so I quite rarely wear this like against my bare skin. However, it is really warm, and I find while I've been working from home, the main use I've had of it is actually on top of like a long sleeve top, because then I don't get the itch on my arms, and usually my hands are all right, so it's quite good. I'll just quickly button it to show you the fit. So as I said, this was my first sort of proper cardigan piece. Around this time I also knitted a sleepsuit, a Selma sleepsuit, which I gave away as a present. I'm currently just sewing up one basically like it. So this is obviously also cardigan style in the sense it has buttons down the front. But yeah, this was the first cardigan for me, and as classic Weal & Gang, knit flat and all seamed up. Absolute nightmare, would not do that again. I would definitely readjust it so that, you know, the sleeves were knit in around and the body was knit in around as well. Picking up the neckband on this also took me 2 tries because I didn't even count the stitches, I just ended up going for it. I'll just turn around so you can see it. So yeah, this I think is a tiny bit bigger than if I were to knit it again. I probably would, because the thing about Weal & Gang is you have to buy yarn with the pattern. So if you really like this you can only get the pattern if you actually buy the yarn from them, which is not a model I'm a big fan of, just because I think their yarns are quite overpriced. But yeah, that's a chat for another day. I would knit this again, and I would probably knit it in the combo I'm about to show, just because I really like the cables. So this was my first cables. This does have, especially here, as you can tell, it has quite a lot of pilling. To be honest, I think could easily just be de-pilled. It doesn't leave fluff everywhere though, which is a real benefit. Let's go to my second cardigan. That was a bit of an effort to put on. Probably the one where you're going to be the happiest I can speed up as I change. So this is the Me Up Cardigan by Plum Mum, and this was one of the first patterns that I really wanted to knit. However, when you're a very new knitter, I think sometimes it can be really hard to gauge what's sort of difficult. And when I knitted this sort of around October time, having started in May, I definitely had the skills and it wasn't hard for me to knit. So the only technique in this pattern I hadn't done yet was the I-cord bind off and knitting the I-cord for this, so for like the tie itself. It also uses Ravelry, which I'd already done, but I would say that just due to the yarn you knit this in, I wouldn't have it as my first project. I think knitting flat is harder, and obviously, so this is, the original one is knit in 3 strands mohair, I want to say. I know that this one I knitted in 2 strands of Drops brushed alpaca silk. This is, out of everything I've knitted, this is the one that irritates me the least. At least to me, this is just so soft, and it doesn't have any itch at all, even areas where I'm really sensitive. So yeah, I think it's a really good alternative. I would try and use alpaca silk as a second strand as well, because it is a bit thicker than most mohairs, but I think it could still work. And I would use it for the Miles cardigan I just showed if I had to knit it again, because I think it knits out quite well. It's slightly more, it's a bit of a different look, I think, than pure mohair, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, and I absolutely adore this colour as well. So might knit another one in the future. Could probably knit it better now as well, but isn't that always the case? My final sweater, so that will be, yeah, sweater number 5. So yeah, that's pretty good going, I think. Just for full transparency, this pattern I received for test knitting, so I bought all the yarn for this myself. I talk about this in more detail in my first month of knitting that I have on this channel, so you can find that down below. But yeah, this is the Dolce Sweater by Dolce Sweater by Divine Knitwear. This had a lot of techniques for me actually, and I think this was a perfect sort of foundation for moving sort of one level up in difficulty of what I can knit. So you will notice that I haven't done, for example, lots of lace knitting, so that's something I hope to rectify this year. But this had some other techniques that I have sort of needed to learn to be able to knit what is often difficulty level 5 out of 5 on PetiteKnit, for example. So this sweater is knit, the top part of the front and back is then knit separately, and you use German short rows to create some of the shaping, and then you join it in round, knit the rest of the body and do tabular ribbing. Then you pick up stitches for the neckline and for the sleeves, and you also use German short rows on the sleeves. The fit is, because it's the front and back, it's knit separately. You get a slightly higher in the neck, which I hope you can see, so that it fits much better and it doesn't like slide around. And also obviously you get the big poofy sleeves. This is like the perfect sweater, I think, for this kind of, like for those kind of techniques, because I have now applied the same techniques, for example, to a Wednesday sweater from PetiteKnit that uses them. So yeah, this was my final make. I've obviously finished more things since in 2021, because we are already in February. You can keep up with that on this YouTube channel, so please subscribe. I upload at least 1 monthly video about what I've been up to and what I've been knitting. And if you are looking for chat, then I'm always available on Instagram. I'm probably easier to reach on Instagram than YouTube, but I always love comments. They bring me so much joy when I check and someone has said, I really enjoyed your video. I hope this really shows as well how how much you can improve with just a few months of knitting, because the things I can, you know, when I knit the Sunday sweater, it was so incredibly hard, and now I could probably knit a Sunday sweater in like a week and a half, 2 weeks without it being a big faff. If you are watching this because you're contemplating getting started, I can recommend it anymore. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye!